we're moving up in the world. All right.
Yeah. Boom.
Boom. Boys and girls, good morning. Danny, Maggie, Steven, Beeben. Oh.
Slight adjustment.
Don't want them to see all the secrets. Oh.
Well, they don't know it's right behind us is the new set.
Oh. Spoilers.
Spoiler.
You guys probably saw on Patreon if you watched it. If you didn't, go watch it. We have a new setup, but not just a new setup, it's a new thing that's coming. And I'm going to say this again when we record the episode. There's a special little tiny announcement video coming out Monday when this goes live. It'll be on social medias, so everyone will know. But you guys got the early access.
Yes.
Should we tell them what it is?
No.
It's not going in the episode. It's just going in the just Patreon people.
No, yeah. They can find out. Because we're not completely sure when.
Oh, we don't have to say when it is.
I know, but
it's a thing.
No. I say hold out.
You could win shit. All right, let's get going. Hello, Terry. Bonjour. Bonjour. I was gonna try to pick a different one. All right, let's get going. We're talking about Luke Cage season 2.
Yes.
Spoiler free, spoiler filled. 3, 2, 1. Oh, hello.
Hello.
I want to see if my favorite thing in like cartoons and movies is when you hear a hello from very far away. It's nice.
No.
They mean you well, but you're never gonna really know who that person is. They just said,
yeah.
Good morning and hello. This is Only Stupid Answers, the best damn podcast you can put your ears in. And welcome, DJ and Sam are here, and we're talking about all sorts of nerdy things and answering your questions to the best of our ability. DJ's better at answering them than I am, but
that's true.
I'm gonna take a swing.
Depends on the question.
Swing and a miss. That's my motto.
But at least you're swinging.
Yeah, we're swingers. Put that on a t-shirt. DJ, how you doing?
You know what, man? I'm doing all right.
I'm excited to talk about Luke Cage season 2.
As am I.
It was amazing.
Yes.
Sorry, already jumping ahead. Don't worry, we're going to do spoiler-free, spoiler-filled. But first, Only Stupid Answers, there's a few things that you need to know. You can find all the info about this podcast, where to listen, all of our social media platforms, and whatnot at onlystupidanswers.com. DJ worked his little tail off putting all that together. You can find everything. We're on Twitter at OnlyStupidAnswers.
You got the Awesome Stupid.
We're on Reddit, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us all there. Also, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Google Play Music. We're also on Overcast and Stitcher. There's a bunch of places.
All the places. And again, you can find all of that and more at OnlyStupidAnswers.com.
Now, there's a really important feature of Apple Podcasts, which we do know is the place where a majority of you listen to this this show. There's a little feature. If you mosey on down to the store, there's a place where you can do 5 stars. And we have all used an app that's like, do you like this experience? Do you want to leave a review? And you say, no, thank you. But if you say yes'ums to us, it actually helps us move up in the charts to get more people seeing us and listening to us. Also, if you just tell your friends about us, we really appreciate it. But to incentivize you going and writing a review, and if you've already done one, you can go write another one. If you want to do a 5-star review, we'll read it on the show, and we have one locked and loaded. DJ.
Yes, we have Amazing by Andy Shandy York. I'm a new listener to the podcast, but been a fan of both Sam and DJ for a long time. This has become one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. Thank you both so much.
No, thank you for writing that review.
No, thank you, Shandy.
Now, to open up episodes, we like to loosen up, get loosey-goosey by talking about the things they were into this week. That could be a new TV show, new movie, maybe a new book.
Yes.
Podcast. You have your hand raised.
But before we do that...
Oh, you want to go say hello to a friend?
Yes.
The friend is waiting outside. I'll go get them. Yes, Dollar Shave Club. Okay. Here goes. 3, 2, 1. Like when friends come by the show. I'm a big fan of that.
So it's really fun. It's just nice to have visitors, you know?
We appreciate it. All right. What are we into this week? DJ.
Oh, damn it. You threw it to me. I don't know, man.
I can do it.
Yeah, you start us off.
I'm taking a swing at Preacher. I'm actually going to try reading it and watching the show, because the first episode didn't quite grab me, but I like the cast and the people who are making the show, who are developing it. Also, friend Malcolm Barrett's on the show, and he's not in the first
He's in the second season.
And I think third season, possibly.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and take a swing at that, and I'm excited to see what they, what kind of stories I'm going to get into. I don't know much about it. Also, want to recommend 2 comics that are pretty fun. Both are from Marvel. The Sentry, which I read, which is a limited series, so you guys can just hop in and read that. It's like one of Marvel's versions of Superman. He's super powerful, power of 1,000 suns or whatever thing. His story in this is like a horror story, and I'm very excited. And it's also kind of sad. It's like
shocking. Written by Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
The Sentry written by Jeff Lemire. Sad, shocking.
It's very well written though, and it's very creative. And it bums me out that the Terrifics is very pretty, but it doesn't. This is written a lot better. And
same writer. That's why. That's what the comparison is.
Yes, and also Michael Rosenberg. I think it's Mike Rosenberg. He's writing Multiple Man, and it's his first solo miniseries. And the premise is that a couple. I don't know what the time frame is in Marvel Comics, but a little while back there was like a poison that was killing the mutants on Earth, and they got rid of it. But during that, a lot of mutants died that were popular because you had to have stakes, and so Multiple Man died during that. Yeah. But one of his Multiple Man is a mutant that can multiply himself and then reabsorb himself. One of his duplicates got away and locked himself away, and he did not die because he was running experiments on himself to try to make himself last longer. Yeah. So it's not the Prime. I don't know what his name is. It's blanking on
Jamie Madrox.
Yes, it's not the Prime Jamie. It's one of the duplicates, but it's very funny. Yeah. And there's a really cool tease at the end of the issue where you see a bunch of what look like combination or knockoff versions of popular characters, but you're like, they look kind of weird. They look a little weird, and there's a reason why they do. And so it's interesting to see where they're going to go. You already get time travel shenanigans immediately. It's a good read.
Multiple Man kind of rose in popularity thanks to Peter David, I believe was the writer. Maybe he was the leader of X Factor for a long stint, a very popular run. So it's cool that they're bringing Multiple Man back.
Yeah, he's really cool. And The Flash right now is actually Joshua Williamson's having a lot of fun with that. Wally versus Barry.
I was wondering about that. What's going on over there?
Actually, if you were a fan of the Wally West run that Jeff Johns did, that art, they brought that artist back, and there's a lot of callbacks to that specific run for Wally, which was really cool. And it was just cool to see that artist do that art again. The premise is that Wally's been having like these kind of like tremors where he's remembering stuff that doesn't exist anymore. Like that's why that artist did a reimagined Cyborg as like what he used to look like with the gold body and everything. So like deep cuts, but basically he's remembering the world the way it's not, and like how there's no Flash museum, and like he tried to run there and he thought he was seeing it and it wasn't actually there. So he's kind of having a psychotic break, and due to things that were set up earlier, they get pulled to the future where Hunter Zolomon, pre-Flashpoint, has been hiding. He's been staying there, and he saw what happened and how it changed.
Interesting.
And he's like, you had kids, right? And Wally didn't remember that he had Jay and Irie. And he starts to remember them, and he wants to basically... Hunter's like, I want you to be happy. Like he's like, I've been here long enough that I'd feel better about myself. Of course, that's not true. There's some nefarious reason why he's doing this, but like basically, he's like, if you do this thing, you could get your kids back, and like that's a great reason to basically Wally's version of Flashpoint, and no one remembered that those kids existed. Barry didn't even know this, and so basically, it's Barry trying to stop Wally from doing a Flashpoint, and Wally's just pissed off. He's like, it's my kids. What am I supposed to do? What would you expect me to do? And he's led to believe that they're stuck in the Speed Force with a bunch of other people. So that's why you get like the implication that like Max Mercury's there, Jay Garrick's there, which we know he is. We saw him earlier, and Impulse. So like the real one. And so it's them. You have this great in the newest issue. You have them racing each other like around the world, and it's like really not good. It's really not good to have them speeding up, and you see Superman try to catch them. That's the way they interpret that, and Howard Porter's art. It's beautiful, but. Thanks.
Super cool.
Enough about me rambling on. What do you got?
So I saw a movie last night.
Last night?
Yeah, last night I saw a movie called The 7 Stages to Achieve Eternal Bliss by Passing Through the Gateway Chosen by the Holy Storch, which is not a name I enjoy, if I'm being honest with you. But Dan...
Doesn't have a great score on the thing.
It's I went to a screening. I'm buddies with somebody that worked on it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and no, it's all good. And it's got a really good cast of people. Dan Harmon plays a detective in it. Taika Waititi plays a cult leader. Kate Micucci's in it. She's a comedian. Rhea Seehorn from Better Call Saul. Bunch of who's the? Hold on one second. There's a guy Sam Huntington.
I love it from Being Human and
Yep.
also Jungle to Jungle. If
Yeah.
you remember that from the 90s with Tim Allen.
Who was he? The boy in Jungle to Jungle?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because he was on Being Human and I had to go. You always do the digging to figure out why you recognize him. Kid from Jungle to Jungle.
There you go. Well, he's really good in it. It's got a great cast. Maria Bamford's in it. A lot of people having fun. I don't know when you'll get a chance to see it. It doesn't have release plans yet. But basically the premise is a young couple moves into an apartment in LA. Somebody breaks into their apartment to commit suicide in their bathtub. You find out that basically Taika Waititi, this cult leader, killed himself in that apartment in that bathtub. So his followers, to like achieve eternal whatever, go to the bathtub to also commit suicide. And shenanigans ensue. It was a fun time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Maybe keep a peeper on one of the streaming services.
Yeah,
It'll probably
and
pop up there.
it's doing festivals right now. I think it. I was going to say one of them, and then I completely forgot the name of the festival.
Nice.
Not Telluride.
TIFF?
Maybe.
I don't know.
One of the bigger ones.
I have no idea.
And I'm just having a brain fart, so that's on me.
Well, I do want to read from the Reddit. Thank you to Noah Fuerte for putting together this thread. Much appreciated. Actually, I'll read. Kay Shallon. Really, really, really loving the newest season of Queer Eye. It's literally one of the most uplifting and heartwarming shows to exist right now. RuPaul's Drag Race has been solid this season. Maggie, shout out. And Westworld's ended pretty interestingly. I'm excited to see where they go next. These aren't exactly comic book related, but I geek out about them just the same. I did pull up Queer Eye. I'm going to watch season 1 later this week. I do want something uplifting. I just made my way through Archer. Didn't talk about that. I watched like the first 2 seasons like years ago.
Yeah.
And it just didn't grab me totally. I did enjoy some of the aspects, but also a lot of stuff I just didn't like because it treads the same jokes pretty often. Mm-hmm. But then when it kind of like finds its groove, it does build up some characters. It does actually have human moments, but also they are still bad people.
Yeah.
And so also I like the voice acting talent on the show is very good.
Yes, it's got a great cast.
Aisha Tyler is hilarious. So and H. John Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
There is an amazing episode where it's Bob's Burgers, which is great because H. John Benjamin voices Bob and Archer, but it's Archer with a mustache now, and it's Archer versions of those 3 kids and the mom from Bob's Burgers.
That's great. He's going like undercover or something, right?
He lost his memory,
nice.
and he married this woman and adopted her 3 kids. Nice. So and it's super funny. There's a super violent thing that happens in there. But anyways, that's good. And I did want to give a shout out to Queer Eye. Also, did see something I wanted to mention. Bren Farrell says, I've been making my way through Luke Cage Season 2, and I'm 50-50 on it so far. I've also been really digging all the new DC stuff they've been posting, doing post No Justice with the Titans and Justice League reboots and all the Batwedding stuff. There is a lot happening at DC right now. So if you're still like, comics, what do I do? Just pick it up.
Yeah.
See number 1, pick that up.
Yeah.
And trust me, they do the legwork to explain what's happening.
Or at least they try. And you'll get there. There's resources, you can figure it out, but there's really no way in the dense superhero market that you just gotta dive in head first and figure it out as you go. There's not like a clean, you just gotta do it.
You just gotta do it, you gotta do it. Well, Marvel does a good job with the little explainers right before you start reading a story. And they do their best.
Yeah.
It's not great, but they do their best.
Although their continuity right now is a big old mess. Yeah, it's a big old mess. So I feel like DC's level of entry is a little bit easier at the moment.
A little bit.
But either way, you just kind of gotta pick a number 1, dive in. There's collections and again, like runs we've suggested, like Mark Waid's Daredevil, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Also, that was a pretty good segue into our topic. But before we get into spoiler free, let's say hello to our friend for a minute. This is for him.
Yeah, I know, but we're only 13 minutes in.
Well,
so
suck it.
I might do that one later. At 2:12. So sorry, everybody. How are you doing today, everybody at home watching us?
Hello to Teresa, Ulysses Campbell. Oh, you guys haven't been around for a minute. H. John is great. That's an amazing episode. Yes. Also, Voltron Wrecked Me. We talked about that last week, I think. So freaking good.
And I was going to talk about Man of Steel, but I figure it wraps up next week, so we can talk about it then.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, spoiler free. Hold on to your butts, because we got a lot of thoughts about Luke Cage Season 2.
Subtitled, The Cagiest.
I did want to read...
Luke Cage, The Cagiest.
Shout out to Bushmaster. I love the villain this season. I do want to share my thoughts, but I did have a meme. Don't you worry, kids. I had a meme.
I did have a visual meme I wanted to share on this audio podcast.
Pretty good. So there's a picture of Bushmaster.
Yes.
Mustafa Shakir. It says, one of my new favorite MCU villains. Well written and excellent performance by Mustafa Shakir. And there were 2 comments underneath it on Reddit, and it said, it as soon as you see it, you can hear the Jamaican accent in your head.
Yeah.
Look at that specifically, Mariah Stokes.
Yeah.
You can hear the Jamaican in that text, which was really funny. Anywhoozles, this season was incredible. It's very good, and Incredibles is a great movie. But also back to this,
yes.
I was very impressed to see what Chio Hidari Cocker would do with season 2, and he improved. Basically across the board, for the most part, on every criticism you had for season 1.
Yeah.
If the pace of season 1 was a little too slow for you, calm down. The show is slower. The show takes its time. He described his show as jazz, and I feel like that's a good way of describing it, because it takes its time. It explores every avenue of storytelling that they want to do. Like if they bring something up, they're going to take the time to really flesh that out. And basically everything they introduce is interesting. All the characters this season that are new or returning, they get their time to shine, and we get to learn about them more.
Yeah.
And he takes Luke in a really interesting direction. This, for me, I feel like we did a test of something where we talked about this, and we were on New Rockstars talking about this. So third time around, I will say again that this is one of the strongest Marvel Netflix seasons out there, and I think Luke Cage might be their strongest show. It does dip a little bit in season 1, but if you're hesitant, like I said, it does improve upon.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of the shows, I saw a thing early on that, like, this is the one Marvel Netflix show that improves upon its first season. And I think because there's a lot of, like, I would say, like, the Daredevil 2 seasons are equal but different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
You can tell when somebody else is picking up the reins.
Yeah. And then Jessica Jones season 2 is good, but season 1 was, like, great. So it was a downgrade from season 1. You know what I mean? And I think those are the 3 shows that have gotten season 2 so far, right? Mm-hmm. We've got more coming down the pipe. So many more. Our lives will be entirely filled with these Marvel Netflix shows. But this takes everything about an already solid first season and improves on it and makes it better. And I think it's better paced. I think it's probably maybe one of the best paced of these Marvel Netflix shows, because each episode kind of has its own ecosystem, has its own. It doesn't. There were a couple episodes near the back half that kind of felt like they were spinning their wheels just a little bit, but compared to other Netflix shows where it's like there's a big chunk in the middle that feels that way. Like, I think it's really solidly paced. I think it's some of the best acted TV. Like, there's a couple scenes where I hope those actors are submitting that for Emmy nominations, specifically Alfred Woodard. But there's a great scene with Mike Coulter and Rosario Dawson. There's a great scene with Theo Rossi and the actor that plays Comanche. That just really Mustafa Shakir, you know what I mean? And it's great. I think we talked about this before. I think it's great that we live in this time, and I think this is the benefit of superhero TV, that you can get a character like Bushmaster, played by Mustafa Shakir, where he's given a great character actor performance, but also just doing these vicious, badass, incredible fight scenes.
Oof.
Yeah, just like really like you don't typically get the great character actor performance and the great action performance in one role, and we're able to get that now because these are superhero shows, but they're vying for that credibility that comes with prestige TV. You know what I mean?
And I think this is a good example of. I think they achieve it. For me, the back half was just as solid. I think for me, if you haven't watched the show yet and you're just listening to spoiler-free reviews of it, Episode 1 and 2 are a little slow. I think episode 1's really a good like bottle episode where you get a lot of action and you get a good setup for what the season's going to be.
Yeah.
But it also gives you a taste of how the show likes to take its time telling stories. Like we've said, like these Marvel Netflix shows or even Netflix shows in general, you're like, why is everyone talking so goddamn slow?
Yeah.
Or it feels like they're saying the same thing over and over again. It's like that's not what this show is doing. It's it's just more giving you the chance to kind of figure stuff out on your own before like diving in and exploring it more. But for me, the season really kicks in episode 3.
Yeah,
that's when like crazy action happens and a lot of great character moments between Luke and Claire, which are heartbreaking. You get a lot of really heartfelt scenes where the actors are really pouring their heart out, but in a way that's like kind of reserved. Like I've listening to some podcasts where people are talking about actors and like the best kind of acting when you cry is not someone trying to cry, it's someone trying to stop themselves from crying. And when you see like how hard someone's fighting of like not wanting to show that weakness, that's when you can see it's like, wow, they're really nailing it. And like you said, Alfre Woodard better be getting at least some nod of some kind. Like, I mean, come on, episode 9, she has one of the most powerful scenes of all the Marvel Netflix shows. I feel like there's not another, I can't really picture another scenes specifically. Like there's good stories that happen like in Jessica Jones season 1 or Punisher dealing with the trauma and PTSD of being a veteran and specifically what he goes through, but that scene is something that you can point to and be like, that is good TV. That is really good storytelling. The music, of course, because of Chio's like connections to the hip-hop world.
He was a music journalist prior to all this,
and he directed Notorious, which is about Biggie, and Biggie's a big influence in this season. It's amazing. Also, because Bushmaster, it's worth mentioning, Bushmaster is a Jamaican character in this show.
Yeah.
And instead of just having him be like this stereotype, they actually dive into Jamaican culture and like you get to see just a rich side of New York, which is really cool. And diving more into the history of the Stokes, and you get some nods to Cornell and building out Mariah's character. It's incredible. And the action, guys, don't worry, it's still awesome. It's really cool to see how they interpret specifically what Luke can do.
Yeah, I thought the action was pretty cool in season 1, but it all takes a big step up this season because not just in how it's choreographed, but the diversity of action scenes. You know what I mean? Like Bushmaster adds a completely different energy than we're used to seeing. Because even when Diamondback showed up with a super suit at the end of season 1, him and Luke basically fought the same way.
Yeah,
like it was two bulldozers running into each other, you know,
which sounds cool.
Yeah, and it was cool. But Bushmaster has a completely different energy, like to the point where I'm not actually convinced that he's necessarily stronger than Luke. He's just a significantly better fighter. You know what I mean? Like he's just way better at. It's like fighting a spider. Like he's just jumping around all over the place and anyway and other characters. I don't think it's a spoiler to say Iron Fist shows up for an episode near the end.
He's advertised in this season.
And so that adds a different energy. It's just they find new and interesting avenues, which you saw a little bit of that in Luke Cage season 1 because it was the first time we got like a car chase in any of those shows, and so they diversified the type of action you were getting, and that through line kind of continues this year and makes it very interesting and engaging and yeah, I think this season delivered on everything I was hoping for. You know, I wanted to see more of Mariah and Shades and their development, and I got that.
And you did, and actually, what was cool is that you didn't see necessarily where that was going to go. Not even a little bit. Yeah. And good for Marvel for like they hand over some characters that no one's going to know about. Honestly, like truly, like Bushmaster is a character. But no, there's a couple different versions of him. But it's like, you know what? Let's let Chio come up with something new. Him and the writers sit down and like really try to like reinvent who this character is and what he could mean to all the other characters you've already introduced. And it's inspiring to see how they can take something that already exists but really tweak it and make it his own. And it's like it's his own little corner of Marvel, which is really like it really says something. Like it does feel like these are distinct like neighborhoods, but this doesn't feel like a neighborhood. It feels like a world and in a community, which is really important. Like we were talking in New Rockstars that Hell's Kitchen is it's really small. It's only a couple blocks, but Harlem is a very important part of New York's history and America. It's and that they give that kind of care to the show to build that out. It's inspiring. And the actors, like we said, are incredible. The music you're not going to be disappointed. Actually, I feel like the music plays an even bigger role this season as well. I will say one spoiler. Didn't see Method Man this season. He was in season 1. No spoiler. It's not really a spoiler, but I was bummed.
If you are looking forward to other rappers making Luke Cage specific songs, that does happen.
Yes. And I'm blanking on his name right now, but he did do an NPR, those small little corner sessions. I don't know if you've ever seen. NPR does like desk performances where it's like in a corner office and they perform. It's really cool. They did that song and they had like a orchestra come in, which is very important for the Luke Cage theme, so that was really cool. Anyways, fun YouTube thing to look at later.
Also, if you're a big fan of the Power Man Iron Fist run from a couple years back, like I am, a couple of the supporting characters from that are like obscure classic Luke Cage characters like Prawn and Cockroach show up this season, and they are great in their awfulness, which is something I like about this show, is that there's people are complex. Like even at your work, Mariah as a character is probably the most toxic person on any of these shows.
Oh yeah.
But you still understand her as a person. Like somebody makes the point, like she really did love Harlem. And it's just like, it's true. It's just she's not good at love. She's just her love is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But as what she was capable of love, like she did love Harlem. You know what I mean?
In the scene that we're vaguely mentioning, like you get it. She basically explains how she is the way that she is.
Yeah.
But she also doesn't blame someone for it. She just explains it, and this is how she dealt with it, which is really, it's kind of refreshing too, because you do get kind of tired of people like, blaming others for how they are. She doesn't. She says that like, this is what happened, and this is how I dealt with it. Like, and you're right. She does. She loves Harlem in an awful way. Yeah, and it's just an awful way.
She's not a good person. The show doesn't try to paint her as a good person, but it does paint her as a person.
Which is important.
Which is all these people like characters like Prawn and Cockroach. Like they're not good people, but they're engaging characters on the show. You know what I mean?
And like, a lot of Marvel characters or villains that have been praised recently, like Killmonger and Thanos specifically, they do monstrous things, but they're also, you see the humanity in them. Yeah. Thanos, I think they did the most legwork with, because also
he's a big purple dude, so you have to.
And having him pout for a second, you're like, yeah, I know that feeling. Mm-hmm. I've pouted. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I've mentioned this before, so I'm trying to make sure I don't repeat myself across shows. But this season did a good job of doing the classic trope of the villain, the hero. You're not so different, you and I. You know. Which is dumb.
They do say that.
They do. I was bummed when they do say it. It's like the second to last episode. I'm bummed that they did say it. But for the most part, during the season, they show it without saying it, and they do it in a way where you're like, "Look, you're why are you doing that, buddy?" And then you see Mariah. It's like, you're almost a good person. Or Shades, you're like, you're almost a good person, and then you do something where you're like, I'm rooting for you. I shouldn't be rooting for you, but I'm rooting for you, and you let me down. But also, I'm going to keep watching to see how much you bungle it.
Well, we can get that in spoilers. I won't spoil that. Also, I think this, for me, what I would like to see in these shows, the way it uses its continuity and its connection to the rest of the MCU, I would like to see more of that. It does a really good job of, like, not like shoehorning in characters, but natural ways of including references to or other supporting characters from other shows, and it's like, you've got 13 episodes, use that shit, like fill those episodes with fleshing out Luke's world, and part of that world includes characters that I'll mention in the spoiler part of the review, even like bigger ones like Iron Fist, but then ones I just didn't expect that factor into like a whole episode. You know
I feel like this isn't spoilers, but I'll say it. There is a way that they used Danny's background, specifically Rand, in a way that made sense. It was like someone would call something up so they could go somewhere, and it was like, that was cool. It was smart too.
It reminded me a lot of the CW shows, which I feel like for the most part do a really good job of referencing the people that are other parts of their reality. You know what I mean?
They were like, Cisco built us a new layer. It's like,
when the most egregious one of that for me was when it was this season in Arrow, when the bad guy's trying to escape, and it's like, oh yeah, they show a red flash, and like, Barry just grabbed him for us. It's like, why don't you use that more often? Like, why you can just call him and he'll grab somebody for you? Like,
we'll talk about that later, because I forget that. I don't remember Arrow.
It was when
there was a whole episode that we both just didn't watch.
Yeah, what's his the bad guy from Lost?
Oh, Caden.
Caden, he's trying to escape.
Classic.
And it's like, there's a bomb, and if he gets out of town,
Yes.
and then Red Blur and Flash grab him for us. You could just do that? Hold on. Anyway.
Borrow Wally.
So.
Oh my god, I'm tight. Favorite character before we get into spoilers?
Yes.
What would you say? Actually, I know your answer. I know what it is.
What is it?
Piranha.
Yeah,
Piranha's your favorite.
No, this is my favorite new character. Probably Bushmaster, actually.
He's great.
My favorite character overall is Shades.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he is. I don't think he's definitely not the most important villain in these Netflix shows, and I still think best is Kilgrave, just because he's just that combination of charisma and also the probably the biggest threat any of them I've ever faced. All that shit. My favorite, like if you did a spin-off series of Shades, I feel like he could be the protagonist of his own show.
I'm so surprised of how negative fans respond to him. It doesn't actually make a lot of sense to me because yes, the Shades are silly, but do you watch these shows? Like, I mean, and out of all things, that he's very grounded, and his character is so unique to all of this genre specifically, having a character that is second fiddle, and he's fine. Like, he's totally fine with that.
Not only is he, you're absolutely right, because usually second in command is like what I would characterize as a Starscream, the one that's always scheming to take the boss's place, and there's no Shades wants to be number 2.
Yeah,
in fact, his buddy calls him out on that at some point, like, why aren't you ever in charge? And Shades is like, he never articulates it, but he's just number 2. But also, while being number 2, he is the most competent of all the bad guys.
Maybe it's that he thinks he doesn't have the ambition to do the bigger and bolder things, or he is like a producer in a movie. It's like, you come up with the ideas, I figure out how to make it happen. And that's what, there's a very pivotal moment where he's like, you need to stop and let me help you now.
Yeah.
And the character says no, because of literally just their own ego.
And I feel like every season ends with Shades going to the main bad guy and being like, if you'd listened to me, if you'd done this when I said this, if you did this when I said that, we'd be fine. Yeah. And it's like, yes, you would.
And also, an important thing to also note, maybe they wouldn't have, but he's so goddamn confident that I was like, why? Yeah. Of course you would listen to him.
Yeah. It's a unique character. Theo Rossi's performance is really cool. And I think there's also an argument to be made. Maybe he wants to be number 2 because he realizes when you're number 1, there's a target on your back.
100%. Hey, if you can learn that really quick, that would be, and you can hold on to that. For me, favorite character, I'm gonna love Misty no matter what she shows up in. She's got an attitude, but she's so capable and smart. And I love that the showrunner has that her reviewing crime scenes in her head, and she gets to stand there. It obviously costs more to just keep redoing scenes like that, but it's cooler.
It's a cool visual again, and that's a testament to the diversity of visuals that we get in Luke Cage.
And she goes through a lot, season 1 and season 2, and you get to see her falter, but she also picks herself back up by her bootstraps, and she also is a cool new thing in this season.
She also has one of my favorite fight scenes all season, which we'll get into in spoilers.
She's like that jump thing.
Yeah, and she's incorporated into a few action scenes.
I remember now what you're talking about.
Yeah, 2 of my favorite action scenes she's in. But anyway, Simone Missick is great. The whole cast is great. I can't think of and I think you pointed this out in one of our other times, there is not typically, all these shows, as much as we love them, there's that one character that's like, oh, fuck, why are you here?
Yeah.
I can't
Best example, Jessica Jones, season 1, Rob, the neighbor.
Yeah.
Jesus H.
No, and it is Robin. Yeah. And
she's awful.
And it's not to say anything about the actress. I'm sure that actress is wonderful. It's just that character, the way it was written, was the worst. And I don't understand. Whatever. The point is, typically you have that. I can't think of a sour note this season.
I agree.
Yeah.
Besides moving kind of slow, and damn it, the tease for season 3 is so compelling. I really hope that they get greenlit quick, because season 3 of Jessica Jones got greenlit really quick, and they're already shooting it, and it's really good. Hey, shout out to Kristen Ritter, who's her directorial debut in season 3 of Jessica Jones. Please, 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 greenlight season 3 as quick as possible. I'm excited to see what this creative team can do, where these characters go, and maybe incorporate other characters more from other shows in this, in Luke Cage specifically.
I can just say it. They obviously can't incorporate Matt because, as of Defenders, everybody thinks he's dead. I'm hoping maybe in a season 3 we can kind of get him in there, because I just feel like, I don't know, it's just cool seeing the other characters drop in, and I feel like him and Luke would have an interesting rapport on their own.
They would. Also, if Matt comes back and goes back and do his job of being a defense attorney. Almost at this point. Try to remind me when we go into spoilers, because I do want to mention a very cool scenario that could happen. I feel like, though, we're kind of coming to the end.
Yeah, do you want to rate it real quick?
I think ranking it might make it a little easier.
Instead of giving it a rating number?
Let's do both.
Okay, so I'm thinking 13 episodes out of 13.
Perfect.
Okay.
You sound like you had it ready.
Oh, probably like 12.
12.5. The negatives are in spoilers, so we have to get to that. Like, to really, I'd say, I can say vaguely, Claire and Luke's relationship, where it ends up is super interesting, and I think an important story to tell about where Luke has come, where he was, and how he got to this point. That you need people to check you. You need people to kind of help you, like when you're kind of going all over the place, like to reel you in. But also, it's an important thing in communication. Like everyone's got their baggage and their trauma, and that doesn't mean you can have freakouts. It's okay if you don't know how to emotionally handle it. Mm-hmm. And basically, it's his reaction makes sense, and you get it. But also, the consequences of that make sense too, and you need to deal with that. And kudos to the show for showing that. It's like you don't get to throw tantrums, and if you do, there are consequences to it. Yeah. So it's not a tantrum, but it's like that's as much as I can say with being spoiler free. 12.5 for me. Ranking it against, look, we're doing seasons of shows.
Yes.
I think I've said this before, but a top two that have been kind of tied prior to season 2 of Luke Cage. It's been like season 1 of Luke Cage, but mainly season 1 of Jessica Jones and season 1 of Punisher have been like kind of tied because they've been so competently directed and the stories have been so good. I think though for me, this is slightly better than those, and it's like I'm talking percentage points right now, like 0.2. Because Kilgrave is so great, but does get weighed down by a lot of the baggage of that season. Even though the story is really good, there is some no-nos that happen in that. In Punisher, the gun control debate it tries to tackle and bungles is just it's so poorly done. But the rest of the season is so well done. It's such a cool take on veterans in America and telling that story, and also showing and making a human Punisher. Yeah. It's not okay what he does, but you have to try to to make the character have a good show. You have to be able to understand him, and so it's really good. Anyway, and John Bernthal. So, but for me, this season is so competently directed, and the acting is amazing, and the writing is so good that it's just barely better for me.
I think for me, Jessica Jones season 1 is still the benchmark, but I think this ties for me with Punisher season 1. As the very close runners up to that.
It's so close. Yeah. There's little things here and there that either don't live up or maybe they're little critiques.
Honestly, I probably might have enjoyed this more than Punisher season 1. So it might be Jessica Jones season 1,
Luke Cage season 2,
and then Punisher season 1.
That's pretty good
those are all in pretty close proximity to each other.
And it's so cool because it's not just a show where it's like Arrow Flash, where it's like those aren't about a thing. It's like those are just a story about a superhero. Not bad. But sometimes you want something different. It's cool that like this is about a person of color and also focusing on a very specific neighborhood. The other one's you have a female superhero lead who is broken, who is trying to fix herself, and also you have a veteran who's been through more trauma than most people have ever been through. Yeah. And maybe what he's doing is not right, which it's not. But you still get to explore it and see the human elements of his character. Yeah. So I feel like we're at the end of spoiler free. We're moving to spoilers. So tune out if you must, but please come back and listen to this when you can. Are you ready to move in? Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Mariah's scene with Tilda, her daughter, is that made me tear up. It was I actually had to pause, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's a pee break now because I'm feeling stuff and I need to walk away from this.
Yeah, it's interesting because the way that scene plays out is, she talks about. For a second there I was worried because she starts talking about, I think the question that spurs the conversation is why she killed Cornell. And so she starts talking about how much she loves Pete. And I'm like, I'm hoping they're not going to try and make what Pete did okay somehow. And then she doubles down. She's like, I did not want it. Because I really like the way that scene played out in season 1 because I think and Luke Cage does a good job of this. It's like Cornell liked Pete because Pete was good to Cornell. Pete was not a good person. No. And Mariah got to see that. So they have conflicting views of who Pete is, and you see a little bit of that the way Tilda views Cornell. We know Cornell not a good person, but Tilda has positive memories of Cornell. You know what I mean? And so it's this really complicated perspectives on stuff. And and so she's explaining, we're very much on her side at the beginning of that, because she's explaining what Pete did to her and how she reacted to Cornell and all that stuff, and then
stressed just thinking about it.
There's that Mariah turn where all all that poison that's inside of her. She directs. She doesn't. It's not even like she's being mean to Tilda. It's just because of that. I really don't like you. I resent you specifically.
I don't love you, which is the thing that hurt. And like it's like a dagger.
Yeah.
It's just like. And also reliving that scene and her explaining what happened in season 1 could have been bad. It could have been reliving that and hearing that. Like, usually you'd get a wrap-up at the beginning of an episode to know what the context of this is. But no, her saying it, there's no cuts. It's like, we don't cut back to Tilda until she's done and said what she needs to say. Never needs to say this to her own daughter. But, like, her saying that to her, it's just like, Jesus, Tilda. Like, Nightshade has nowhere near this much development in the comics, as far as I could tell.
She makes werewolves.
Of course she does.
Yeah, she makes werewolves that she controls with pheromones. By the way, side note, Tilda Johnson was supposed to be Killmonger's girlfriend in Black Panther, and they made I don't know the logistics behind this, but they made a last minute change so that Luke Cage could use the character, and thank God they did, because that Killmonger's girlfriend basically barely factored into that movie. Yeah. So I'm glad we got to have this, because it makes Tilda a much. I mean, they set her up to be one of the villains of season 3, which we'll dive more into
later on.
But with her relationship with Bushmaster, I think that's a good excuse to bring him back. Good Lord, all his fight scenes are so good. My favorite fight scene in the season is Bushmaster and Luke Cage teaming up.
It's really it's in the factory, right?
Yeah, and then later there's the one where it's literally everybody versus Bushmaster. Like everybody, like, because he's basically a human hurricane at that point, and he busts into Mariah's safe room, and
it's
so
scary.
It's Luke, Misty, Shades, all trying to like stop Bushmaster.
Which is such a great scene, because Mariah is not dumb. She knows that Shades is turned, and is a snitch. But like immediately he tries to protect her.
Yeah, because he doesn't like her. He's not a good person. Neither of them are good people.
But they still kind of like each other. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. Or he just knew to get out of that situation, throwing her in front of him. Or I don't know. Like that's the thing. It's not that the show didn't tell me. It's just I don't know how he actually feels at that moment. Like because he still turned her in.
And then we were talking about Misty. One of my favorite fight scenes is when she's with Colleen, which was great. Again, the characters, you get an episode with Misty and Colleen, which was great. And then Foggy shows up for an episode, which was a really great, smart way to integrate him.
You also get the scene where in the fight with Colleen, where she tries to take a swing with her arm that's not there, and it's like... Oh.
It's great.
But
that
also,
whole fight's great. It
shows her that she's capable, and what I was mentioning, spoiler-free, is when she and Luke go to the mechanic, car shop, whatever, shop, and she, like, hops... like past the crowbar that's going by. It's just like this. It's a very subtle thing, and like when you watch behind the scenes, it looks not that like a big deal, but the way they shoot it, it's very cool. Bushmaster's first introduction with Luke is really good because it's just a punch. It just comes out of nowhere, and
of course it's right after Luke's world's been completely flipped upside down because Claire leaves. It's like Claire leaves and then he gets laid out.
But like diving into that for a second, also wanted to mention Alfre's scene with Tilda is amazing, and Comanche and Shades talking about that they were lovers. Lovers in prison, and Shades, we don't, by the end of the season, we don't maybe know how he truly feels about Comanche.
I do think,
you get a hint.
Yeah, and I do think it's kind of heartbreaking because even though you're not, the one part that does feel kind of obvious is that Comanche loves Shades more than Shades loves Comanche. How much that gap is, I think is up for debate, but it's like, it's heartbreaking for Comanche because it's like,
I think it's fair to say that at that moment, Shades loved Mariah more than he loved Comanche.
Yep.
I think that's as much as we can say.
Which is probably a bad call, Shades. Mm-hmm. It's your one bad call, Shades.
Hey, he's made bad decisions before. That scene, and also Rosario Dawson and Luke. A critique I have now that I can be more candid is that when he is kind of throwing hissy fits a little bit around Rosario Dawson, is that there's a reason for him acting that way. Yeah. But he's acting a little uncharacteristically rude to her specifically in the beginning because she is just trying to talk to him, and it is criticisms, and he's just not listening or taking it well, and instead he just kind of pouts and leaves and goes and beats up people. There's reasons for it. That is one of my criticisms of the show, that it seems a little out of character for how much he's whining about it, and it's because it comes off as whining to me, even though there's a reason for him acting that way.
Yeah, I think what we're supposed to get out of that is his dad being back is kind of, we understand that his dad is a very sore spot for him, and it's a sore spot Claire doesn't seem to want to let be. She just keeps pressing that sore spot, You know what I mean? And it's one of those, because she brings up her issues with her dad, and it's like, yeah, you have those, but you can't force somebody to process stuff the same way. Like, hey, this was a mistake. I regret not talking to my dad. Well, yeah, but you can't force Luke to. At some point, you're gonna have to let them process that himself, which he does.
He does.
It takes most of the season.
And I also think, rest in peace, Reggie Cathy.
Oh my God, he's so good.
He is, and
so good.
I guess a criticism too is that they do kind of speed through Luke and him kind of patching up because he passed. I think there may have been scenes near the end they could have used to kind of show that them working it out more, but he passed. So
but it's another very complicated dynamic because Papa Lucas is not a good dude.
No, he's
we
not.
know that. The Diamondback is the living evidence in Luke's outburst. That's evidence of Papa Lucas not being a good dude. But he's also not. He's not a supervillain. Like he's a complicated person. He made mistakes. He admits that he made mistakes, and he really wants to make things right with his son. The worst one, another knife to the gut is the flashback to, or like basically you realize that Papa Lucas blamed Luke for his mom dying, which is not cool.
It's not cool, but also again human. He was freaking out, and you have I can't imagine what it's like to have a kid who would go to jail like that, and even though the kids, any person's going to claim that they shouldn't be in jail. Yeah. So like there you saw some of his character, some of his faults that he blamed him for how his mother was, and like it's awful. Also, but I did want to come back to Rosario Dawson. One thing you are right with what you're saying is that like if it's a sore spot, maybe don't keep poking the bear, but. All she did was mention it once, try to go talk to Dad, and then come back to talk to Luke. It's like, hey, could we try working this out? And in that, Luke has like a million things that's going on that are going wrong, like people dying and him trying to like stop that. Also lit on fire, shot at, his shoulder popped out of his socket. He's not doing well. But also she's just trying to facilitate that maybe dealing with those things in your life could make you happier in the long run. So she just tries to, and with everything Luke's going through, he reacts the totally wrong way.
Yes, he does.
And punches a wall. And and her reaction at first, you're like, I understand this. And then when she reveals even more of her baggage from her childhood, you're like, yeah, Luke fucked up bad. And
the show acknowledges that he fucked up bad.
Oh yeah. But Mike Coulter, I think it's one of his best acted scenes in these shows where he's crying. And he's like, we can talk about this tomorrow. And like you can see that because we've been in relationships where people, hopefully you do not have reactions like that, but where you step out of line and you say something that you shouldn't have. And you're like, well, just talk about it tomorrow. And you're like, if you guys have been in a relationship where you've broken up before, you're like, you know that you fucked that up or another person fucked that up. It's like there's some stuff that you can't fix after that. Like, or maybe it will take a lot longer to fix. Regardless, it was a very well done scene, and where it took Luke, I think, is the important part. Where they didn't go way out of line in their storytelling, and made us like totally hate Luke or anything. It's just like he fucked up, and we will deal with that as he's dealing with that.
Yeah, it's interesting because the way where they end up with Luke is he's a more complicated figure at the end of the season because he's not a full on crime lord in that we don't get the impression that he's dealing drugs or selling guns, but he's acting as the king. He refers to himself as the king of Harlem, like he's acting as the because criticisms him and Misty scenes tend to have a rhythm of looks like I'm gonna go do this, and Misty's like, no, that'll fuck up my case, and he's like, cool, I'm gonna go do it anyway. You know what I mean? He has issues with the police, which is understandable. Also, I think Misty's plotting, the writing around Misty, is this season and last season is some of the shakiest in these seasons. Really? But God bless Simone Missick because she's so fucking good that it doesn't matter. Like it papers over.
That could be why I don't notice. Yeah. I for the most part like it. Yes, if a lesser actor was doing it.
Because it's like, I'm leaving the cops, but now I'm back, and I hate the cops, but now I'm in. And it's one of those, like, what's going on with Misty?
I think the shakier stuff was how people were reacting when she had her arm cut off. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, everyone feels uncomfortable by it. And it's like, well, they can go ahead and go fuck themselves. Yeah. Like, I don't think they're the ones dealing with having to learn how to put on how to like wipe yourself with one arm.
It'd make a little bit more sense if she was like a beat cop, and it's like our lives kind of depend on you being able to. She's a detective. Like theoretically, she shouldn't be getting. I mean, she does because it's an action show. But theoretically, as a detective, she shouldn't be getting in shootouts and shit. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
If she was a beat cop, the concern would have made a little more sense, I think, because it's like, hey.
But they do move past that pretty quick, and I don't mind the arm. By the way, like I know you have your
well, I mean, props to them. They didn't do what I thought they were going to do, where it was like full on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like she's able to shoot projectiles out of it and rip doors off and shit. But it does.
That wouldn't be cool.
No, I'm not saying it wouldn't be cool. I'm saying these shows try to be a little more grounded, and after we just fought a dragon under the city, maybe a super robot arm is a bit much. I will say, it's obviously just a way to cover up her arm, because she's doing like spin moves with a basketball, and she's handling her gun, and it's like
she's like spinning a spoon between her fingers.
Yeah, I would have at least said like, hey, pull your gun with your left hand. Like, I know it's a struggle, but that's the point. Like, because even people that get prosthetics, it's not suddenly.
But it's a Rand prosthetic. Danny designed it himself.
And it looks cool.
It does. And you get the elements of the gold from the comics and the silver from the comics. So you get everything you want.
Yeah.
And it does look cool. Like for the most, it does like it for how they make it work. It does like for like wide shots and even some close up ones. It's like that looks cool.
Yeah, but where Luke ends up with he's kind of like when he's kind of it's just an interesting place to put that character in, and it tracks with, because I think you and I had a similar reaction where it's like you get the impression, the show very much gives you the impression that this is not the best move for Luke. Story wise, it might be fantastic, but for the character, probably not the best move. But you're also left with what else do you do? Because they're definitely, if you don't do, somebody's going to replace Mariah. We've seen it on all these shows. Somebody's going to replace Mariah. So are you just going to keep playing whack-a-mole with that shit?
Yeah.
Or are you going to take charge?
And I think that's where the writers' room got. It's like, do we really? And like they really, the Mariah's like last move of just killing off like just people in the street. It's like, yeah, Luke has to do something right now. He can't be late to this.
Yeah.
He can't just keep letting people die. He needs to make a move that like could actually fix this. And that's like, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to see where he's gonna go. Also, we saw him be a lot more ruthless in the final episode,
which was not. It made me uncomfortable.
At first, I was like, when he pulled the guy's fingers back, I was like, my fingers can do that. And I looked, I was like, oh no, they can't.
Yeah.
They cannot go that far back. I feel like they got someone who's a little bit more flexible than me, but I'm like,
or something, prosthetic or something.
But my fingers cannot go that far back.
And it's interesting because, like, you know what, this might be as a because I was thinking like Daredevil probably does shit like that. Though, like we've seen him break limbs and shit to get his job done, but
it's not Luke. So
and that's the thing. It's as a bigger man, I can attest to, you are not allowed to get angry the same way other people are angry, because people react differently. Anyway, so like Luke's doing the same stuff as Daredevil, but again, people aren't like, oh, Daredevil's great in that show either. It's like, hey, maybe you're a little maybe too violent for us.
I think also Daredevil has Matt. Daredevil has a thing that he can go to where he isn't him anymore. It's Luke is Luke for Luke forever. But also that's where it also aligns that he's also a large black man in America today. So it's like he's going to deal with that anyways for how society is. So props to the show for like taking this move, like making this move, and the way they tease everything for season 3. I'm very excited. But also props, like I'll sprinkle in some criticisms as we go along, but I do want to say Danny Rand is the most likable he has been. That doesn't mean he is perfect, but he is the most enjoyable version of Danny Rand and Iron Fist we've gotten to date. And
I think we have a tweet related to that.
Ooh,
hold on.
I also have some Reddit. So you guys did a Reddit thread, and it's very in depth. So I'm excited to dive into those thoughts as well.
The lovely Thierry Fournier is
watching
just
live.
Is it just me, or is Danny Rand getting better with every appearance he does, or is it because we only got a small amount of him?
Yes, and I think both. I think they really were able to kind of shove all the good aspects of Danny into one episode, where it's like, I don't find when he mentions kung fu and where he is raised annoying. I don't find that annoying or as annoying or just palatable, and his action's better. It's not perfect, but for me, when I was watching, I was like, either he's been doing lessons every day, or they finally found a stunt guy that does look like him. Maybe the haircut helped.
Yeah.
But I'll read
two of my favorite parts of that episode. Patty cake was amazing, and also we got. I think this is the closest thing we've gotten to a fastball special in anything,
which is crazy.
Was there one in Last Stand? Because Colossus and Wolverine are both in Last Stand. Was there one in Last Stand?
I don't think so.
It's crazy.
I think Beast jumps. He doesn't get thrown though. But Pussy Money and Weed agrees with you. Patty Cake is all I have to say. Yeah. Patty Cake was amazing.
Danny 2099. What was your favorite cameo or surprise? Speaking of Danny Rand and cameo.
Surprise. Colleen Wing showing up was really cool. Foggy's episode was really good. Foggy and Luke have a good rapport, which is cool.
Which is awesome. Which, again, that was a moment where it's like, shit, if Matt was alive, Matt could be his lawyer, and that would be amazing.
Now that we're in spoilers, now I remember this. Yeah. If he comes back and he's a defense attorney, he would definitely... And since Luke is taking this position now, I don't know if Luke and Matt would be on the same side of the law if they had to go to court right now, because he is running... Whatever the capacity of him running whatever he's doing now, it could go up against what Matt is doing.
Iron Fist, Danny shows up specifically because Claire asks him to check on him because everybody's worried about Luke. And I feel like that would be even more so this coming season. I feel like the way characters... It bums me out that we haven't announced like a Defender Season 2, because I feel like the way the other characters would interact with Luke in this position would be super interesting.
Mm-hmm. I also want to say it does help... Iron Fist looked a lot better when you had Luke's fanboy. I'm blanking on the character's name. DW. Thinking he's the coolest fucking thing ever. Yeah. It allows the audience to know that, hey, it's okay if you enjoy Danny, because he's not... clearly he's not having tantrums anymore and having doing the shaky
They even mentioned, like, hey, you seem a lot calmer. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm not running day to day anymore. I'm just I'm more of like a face. I'm like, yes, because that's how it would work if you had stake in the company. You do not need to be making decisions on behalf of Rand, because you do not have a business degree.
It does give me hope for Season 2. I'm hoping that these are specifically decisions that are meant to kind of like set up what Season 2 looks like for Iron Fist. Mm-hmm. That hopefully Danny's newfound confidence will reflect a newfound confidence in the show.
I am hoping that as well. Also, Misty is planning to show up in that season as well, and Luke shows up too.
Yeah, and her and Colleen's interaction was one of that was episode 3. Episode 3 is one of the best episodes of the season. I think.
So cool, so cool. Did want to mention really quick, ding, 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 favorite cameo or favorite scene? What was it? What was the question?
It was favorite cameo or surprise.
Surprise would be Shade's backstory. I didn't think I was going to learn more about Shades.
Yeah,
I think that's the because saying Mariah's
it's so funny because we were watching it for a stream. And I made a joke when they were like, yeah, we were in prison and we cared about each other. And I was like, and now, kid. And then you find out, like, oh, no, they...
Yeah, they definitely smooched. Smooched and smooched.
Well, we don't know that they smooched.
They probably did. They could have done it without smooching. No. But it was cool. Also,
smooching is important, though.
It's for intimacy and, you know,
just
connecting. And also friends. But they... I did like that the actor who played Comanche was in season 1 in that flashback episode. He is surprising, like that they just kind of like held on to him until later on. Yeah, he got a cool look too.
My favorite surprise was when Squabbles turned out to be the big bad of it.
My
Squabbles
favorite
from season 1.
Actually, Piranha is a good surprise because he surprised. You know what? He could have been a therapist.
I'm really bummed that Piranha and Cockroach got killed. Not as bummed with Cockroach because he beat his wife so he can go fuck himself. But they are of the tradition, the Turk tradition of endearing scumbags. Like you don't like them as people, but as characters.
Oh, I do want to say it is kind of funny that I like the work they did to have Cockroach die by his head getting cut off because like the superstition about the myth about cockroaches getting their head cut off. It's very violent when it happens. Yeah. Also, I do like Misty's story there, where it's like, is she scarf or not? That was really interesting.
You and I were both severely concerned the show was going to bungle that.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Misty do something not great.
No, they just throw in a curveball.
They were going to Legion that shit. Anyway.
And also, Piranha, this is more obvious that he dies because, well, they had getting cut off, but also Piranha's eating them. Which I have no idea. Jamaica's slightly closer to South America than us, so maybe it was.
I don't know.
The shipping costs were cheaper.
Iqbal asks, "How badly do you want a Heroes for Hire series now, and what other heroes would you like to see get hired?" I'm going to be honest, because I'm a big fan of the. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No.
Okay. I'm a big fan of Heroes for Hire. However, I think for me, this is just the right amount. They mentioned because it just doesn't fit this version of Luke Cage. You know what I mean? Even though
they did start doing the legwork of like, I'll hire me. Yeah,
well, but so
much money.
do this. I don't need a Heroes for Hire series. Give me a couple episodes like we had this season where he's having to work for somebody, and then have a every season of Iron Fist and Luke Cage have one episode where they cross over each other. That's all I need.
Why can't they just do Netflix Marvel movies? Like 2 hours, or do two-parters where it's like Sherlock episodes where they're like 2 hours long, and you do a Heroes for Hire, and you have Misty and Colleen
Or
and
Daughters of the Dragon.
Yeah, but you can do Daughters of the Dragon later, or you could do one that introduces the other. Like, you could do whatever. Like, it doesn't...
I feel like if you were to do another Defenders, doing like an even mini-series, or like a Netflix movie, because Netflix makes movies.
4 episodes.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Get it out of the way. I did want to read from Reddit. There's some more in-depth reviews. I'm going to kind of read a couple of these. Kay Chanel writes, such a stunning piece of television. Bushmaster was fantastic. Absolutely loved his fighting style and interactions with Luke. Really enjoyed seeing them fight together. Also, great joke from BW. He's like, I don't know if he was singing or talking, but whatever.
I loved BW's interaction with Bobby Fish, especially in episode 1.
Yeah.
And another one of those great smaller two-person scenes is when Bobby Fish was leaving. Another hit to Luke. Like, Luke just couldn't cast a break earlier in the season.
Also,
a lot of it is his own doing.
Misty was fantastic. I strive to take no bullshit the way she does. I can't wait to see how she's going to deal with Luke next season. Mariah was fantastic. Sad to see her go.
Same.
She was absolutely crazy, absolutely ruthless, absolutely cruel, and sometimes absolutely badass. Although the scene where she burns Anansi alive was very unsettling. Yes, and it should have been. Love Shades. He needs to come back. I can't have a season without him.
Agreed.
One of my many favorite episodes was the episode with Danny Rand. I thought it was dope to see them fighting together. Love the glowing fist punch to the hand at the end. These characters and storylines have always been mostly believable and complex, and they aren't holding back with that in the direction they're taking Luke's enforcement. It's understandable the way he's going about keeping a modicum?
A modicum? Yeah.
Of peace, and I agree with DW and wish/want there to be another way to take care of Harlem without traveling down the slippery slope Luke has chosen.
I feel like that's season 3. Is
Luke
learning how to deal with that.
Very well written.
A small critique. When Mariah, the Rum Punch Massacre is horrifying, and it should be horrifying. I didn't need them to cut back to it like 3 more times. I didn't. Yeah, we saw Billy get shot. Like, hey, remember what happened the episode before? We see Billy shot in the head again. That poor girl, and it's like, I didn't. And then we cut to Nancy on fire, and it lingers again. And it's like, you just put me through this. I don't need to.
No,
now it's feeling exploitative.
That was a really important moment for Mariah and Shades, and you can tell in like the way that they are dealing with it. Shades is just reacting at that point. Like, he's still making choices that are wrong, and he's murdering people, and he's that bad person for that.
Yeah.
But also you can see that he's kind of like, he's losing control, and he clearly doesn't like that. You get the same stuff when Diamondback like goes crazy and starts shooting up Harlem's Paradise last season to get to Luke and Misty and Claire. I did want to say...
Everybody should just listen to Shades, dude.
Yeah, he's
super...
Like, what if he was...
He's a bad person. He's done awful bad things. His logic is like, no, I shot... What was her name from last season?
Candace.
I shot Candace, but she took our money. Whatever. He's a bad person.
Yeah.
But in the show, he's a good bad guy.
Yes, he is. And also, like, his reasoning for that was like, she took the money and then she tried to turn us in.
Yeah.
And so like, and there's a logic to it.
It's
not good.
Logic. It's really bad logic, but there's a logic.
Yeah, and
hey, it's better than murdering a restaurant full of people and setting a man on fire for no reason.
Yeah, and I was surprised of how long they waited for Mariah to spit up blood and die. Like, she could tell that like something was up. Also, Tilda was really interesting, and her interactions with Bushmaster were really good. I did want to say there was something with Bushmaster. Oh, I love the work that they did to make Bushmaster's name make sense and why he would adopt that.
Yes.
It is the Diamondback. No reason. I don't remember why he goes by Diamondback.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cornell Cottonmouth was really cool that it bugs him deep down. Black Mariah, that hurts them.
Yeah.
But they try to turn it and make it mean something to them. And I love that Bushmaster was like a badge of honor. It was like they took this from me.
I love that he's not dead.
I love that he's not dead as well.
Even though another little repetitive thing. Oh no, Bushmaster! If you take more of the nightshade, it's gonna kill you. Oh no, you took it, but it didn't quite kill you. To fix you, we're gonna give you more. It's like, jeez.
And like weird magic paralysis dust.
Yeah.
Pocket sand.
Which he never used again, and feels like...
No, he tried to on Luke, and Luke knocked it out of his hand. Yeah,
because
he was like,
nah.
Also, he's holding it out like a plate. Like he's like, yeah, Luke, see that coming from a mile away, and just knock that away, or blow it. Like maybe you have strong lungs because you're Luke Cage. Why not? And I did like that while the Judas bullets don't penetrate his skin anymore. Good that they can kind of move past that. he can still lay your ass out, and you got a serious concussion during this season. And I like the 6-barrel gun that he shot. That like that could have blown Luke away.
Yeah.
That could, if he had fallen on something, like if he had fallen on something, or if he had fallen from a greater height, it probably would have done significant more damage.
I was curious at first because it was almost like when the Judas bullet scene. It's almost like if you had a Superman series, like, oh no, kryptonite doesn't affect Superman anymore. It's like, wait, you're giving him less vulnerabilities.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was just more because if you know Judas bullets are around, Luke Cage's just hopping in front of people to stop bullets makes a little bit less. Wouldn't you be worried that? Although maybe it makes him look braver. That he's like, yeah, maybe it's a Judas bullet, but I'm still going to be a human shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice that ended up not mattering because you've got people like Bushmaster, and I think because Mariah brought up season 1 and she brought it up again in season 2, the idea of poisoning Luke, which we still haven't tried, and now that it looks like Nightshade might be a villain next season.
Also, radiation that would definitely mess up Luke.
Also, again, they tried to put a bag over his head, and you could suffocate him. You'd have to be smarter about it than they were.
It would have to be like Stark Tech or vibranium, but like he could have just poked a hole in the mouth.
That is true.
And also,
but you get what I'm saying.
He's not that guy's worse. That guy was not going to write for a while.
A minute.
Probably won't be able to pick stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You know what would be really cool?
Hmm.
I don't think I want to get this. If Luke has to do some dealings with Kingpin in either Daredevil season 3 or Luke Cage season 3, because he's dealing with the Italians, and I feel like I know in the comics Kingpin took over. He's not Italian, but he took over part of the Italians group. It's like that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of the villains interact with each other.
Also, I mentioned this before, but someone online did really explain mentioned that Bushmaster is kind of like the Punisher in the way of like his main goal is Mariah Stokes,
and even though doesn't he only kill in the season? Doesn't he only kill bad people? Not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying comparing him to the other villains of the season.
Yes, or who gets in his way. Like basically, like that's his main thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's what his.
He's not like our other villains where he's murdered civilians.
He didn't murder Piranha to get to the funds.
And Piranha was a dick, but he wasn't a bad. He didn't deserve to die.
No, he didn't deserve to die, but he was such a cool character.
Yeah.
He is the best. He's the worst kind of fan, but one of the best kind of characters because he's like, holy shit, you have like all the bullets from like the Crispus Attucks attack, and like it's just weird all the shit he kept. And
it's one of those things that they made it hurt. It's like, you know, Piranha's kind of like, if you wanted to know, Piranha's an asshole. He tries to shoot Luke at a party just for fun, right? Mm-hmm. But then when he's trapped, he honestly believes Luke is going to get there to save him. You know what I mean? And it makes it hurt when Luke tries. Yeah.
Just a little too late. That's going to happen. Also, a hero's app to track where Luke is makes total sense. Like, you would definitely do that for the Avengers. It's like, uh-oh. Hulk definitely just popped up in... Like, that would be a very popular...
They should make an app for Hulk.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Definitely need to keep
tabs. It's like a storm warning.
Yeah. And it's interesting. That's a really cool aspect. And also, I like the fan, like the vlogger that comes into the Pop's barbershop. He's like, I'm here, gonna see Luke Cage. He's like, get out of here. What are you doing? And
although I would probably definitely be that guy.
I wouldn't run in there filming immediately, but I'd be
I definitely dopinder that shit. Like, Luke, you need a sidekick? I'll be your sidekick. What do you need me to do?
I would come back often and be like, I'll get another Power Man shirt. And just kind of like...
I would get all of those shirts.
I would take my time, just like, Luke, today. And I'm trying to think if there's any other characters. I did like that they removed the captain from last season only to bring her back, and I'm like, good, because... You didn't have to kill her off.
Yes.
You killed off the other captain, who did have reason.
And Comanche did shoot that guy, right? No. And then Shade shot him.
No, Shade's shot. I forget, because it became like a standoff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because there's a moment Shades is like, I didn't kill that captain. I was like, Shades, you... Wait, actually, I don't think you did. You killed Comanche, but I think Comanche shot him to cover his own tracks. Like, Shades walks up and he's like, no, don't give me money, shoot.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
But also, if you said Shades shot him and then, like, they were trying to work out how this all played out.
Wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, it would have made sense. Also cool how the gun came back. And also, you mentioned that, like, Cornell is not viewed as, like, a villain in the eyes of Tilda, again, there's a lot of cool, like, mirroring.
Also, an amazing singer.
Yes, very good.
Also shocking that they knew she was an amazing singer and they held out on that shit till the last episode.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they probably... Or maybe they didn't know. You didn't need that for Tilda. You didn't need her to sing.
But when she started singing, I was very impressed.
Very excited when we saw Misty with her hair teased out at the end of season 1. Very cool to see Nightshade with her like pom poms.
Although I wouldn't have
You wouldn't have known,
No,
but
yeah.
now when
Misty,
we did,
I recognized. Tilda was like, "Oh, you sure?"
Sure.
Yeah.
But when you look it up, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Also, her hair, that's a cool hairstyle.
Yeah.
I think we're winding down.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. Cool seeing the cameos, lots of good action, which, it's cool. It's really, really cool.
Not only does this get me excited for more Luke Cage, it's actually got me more excited for the rest of these Netflix shows.
Maggie pointed out Shades shot both people.
Okay.
Yeah, which is cool. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for Punisher Season 2. A lot of cool characters. Luke and Punisher probably wouldn't do great together.
Nope.
But I want to see it.
Yeah.
And I don't hate Iron Fist as much after this.
I'm interested. We still don't know which. We're probably going to get at least one more show before the end of the year. We're not. It's shocking that we don't know which. Comic-Con's coming up, so they'll probably announce that soon. It'd be weird if it was Iron Fist because that's the. I feel like it should be Daredevil because that's the longest wait we've had so far.
Yeah, but Daredevil recently started shooting. Iron Fist has been done for a minute.
Weird.
Yeah, so who knows?
Maybe they're working on CG work for that dragon.
You better show the goddamn.
I don't need it at this point.
I don't need it, but what are you doing? Also, I like that Luke still doesn't believe him. Like, wait, Luke, did you look around when you fought last time? You were in the bones of something.
Listen, Luke is like me. He's trying to block that out of his memory.
Too bad. It happened, so we're gonna have to kind of just suck it up.
All right.
You know, hey, a good storyteller could bring that back in a really cool way, like how that scene from the Hulk movie where he tried to kill himself got pulled back in a really cool way in Avengers. It was a really cool moment for that character. Anywho's winding down. Good show. Haven't watched it and you made it all the way through this. You trust us. You have not experienced the magic of this show. It's and the music. God damn it. There's one of Bob Marley's kids who performs in it. There's one of the members of Wu-Tang performs.
Ghostface Killer.
Thank you. At a party. And who has the nickname Iron Man, who has an album called Iron Man, and he raps about Tony Stark, and he had a cameo in the first Iron Man movie that got cut because it was when they went to Dubai for a party, and they're like, it doesn't make sense. But I did want to mention, ding, 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 ding. We better get another Marvel person in one of these shows. God dang it! I want someone to show up, please, and thank you. I don't know who, but I would like somebody to show up. Come on, Spider-Man! Get a mention of him. At least mention him. Yeah. Please.
Please thank you. So we both enjoyed this season. Please go to onlystupidanswers.com for more updates. Follow us on social media. We've got very exciting things coming very soon.
Monday, when this is up, you can just mosey on over to Instagram and Twitter at OnlyStupidAnswers on Instagram, at OnlyStupidAnswers.
You ain't got the vowels from stupid.
On Twitter, and there's a video that you should watch.
Yes.
It's important.
Also, please go to chaostheorycomic.com.
Ding ding.
Because there's only 2 weeks left for the Indiegogo campaign. And as of this recording, we are almost 80% funded. We are almost there. If you've been waiting, if you've been like, oh, we'll see how it goes, now's the time to go contribute to make this happen. It's an amazing comic. So many talented people have been working on it with me. It's just fun action adventure with characters that have heart, that are relatable, that also have flaming chainsaws, and there's also zombies and dinosaurs and aliens. There's literally everything you could possibly want in a comic book ever. We're launching a new perk this week called, in honor of Luke Cage, the Sweet Christmas card, because you're going to be getting this comic around Christmas time. And so some of my lovely friends, including Sam Bashor,
hello,
Roxy Stryer, and more, are going to be, they'll write you a little Christmas card. And you'll get that with the rest of your package along with the rest of the perks. So that's fun.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, so that's a really fun one. And everybody that's contributed so far has been, you're the best. They're really excited about it. So let's make this happen. Don't forget, chaostheorycomic.com. And you can follow me at DJ Talks Trash everywhere that matters.
You can follow at Sam Basher everywhere that matters for updates on dumb stuff I do. It's fun. But also onlystupidanswers.com for everywhere to listen, everywhere to follow us. Make sure you hit up that Reddit community, reddit.com/r/onlystupidanswers, because you guys have fun conversations there that I like to poke into. Give my 2 cents. Bug you guys with. It's fun. Also, patreon.com/onlystupidanswers, because there's bonus episodes. There's a new bonus content show that's coming out since Super TV is winding down. Go check out the final episode where we talk about the shows this season, all the Super TV shows.
There's big old teases for what's coming up.
Oh, yes, and we have a new project launching soon. We can say that.
Yes.
And announcements probably next week.
Yes.
More details coming next week.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Same.
Also, merch. Go buy it. Love you. We'll talk to you guys soon. And, stay hydrated.
Yes.
Go for a walk. It'll help you. And meditating will boost gamma...
Radiation.
Gamma brainwaves. Nailed it. And that will increase your happiness. You can do that with meditation and eating chocolate. All right. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Two dads say bye-bye. Hello. Thank you to Captain Richardson, Maggie Whitmer, Terry Fournier, Danny Boy. Let's see, we got Ulysses Campbell, Teresa Stephen Walker. I think I said everybody. Cool.
Man, we've got so many exciting things to show you guys.
It's so cool.
I'm excited for you.
It's like a new whole thing.
Bye-bye.
It's like a new thing. A new whole thing.
Bye-bye.